Alright, so this is a lesson on factoring to solve quadratic equations. So we're going to start out by talking about the zero product property. And the zero product property states that for any real numbers a and b, if a times b equals 0, then either a equals 0 or b. And that should say or, not and. Okay, so that should be or. B is equal to 0. Okay, in other words, one or the other has to be equal to 0. Alright, so in this example we see here, we're just illustrating the zero product property. X plus 5 times x minus 2 equals 0. Then either x plus 5 has to equal 0 or x minus 2 has to equal 0. If we look at this first example, alright, this first example says, what are the solutions of the equation 3x squared plus 7x minus 6 equals 0? Alright, so we're going to start out by factoring. Okay. So in order to factor, alright, I'm going to do a times c. A times c in this case is 3 times negative 6, which is negative 18. Alright, so then we're going to look for the factors of negative 18. Okay, so we have 1 and negative 18. Oh. Negative 18, 2, negative 9, 3, negative 6. Then we could have negative 3, positive 6. Could have negative 2, positive 9. And negative 1, positive 18. Over here, we're going to list the sums. Okay. When we list the sums, this would be negative 17, negative 7, negative 3, 3, 7, and 17. And we're looking for the sums that add up to give us this b term, so we're looking for the ones that give us positive 7. So we're going to be using those two. Alright, so we're going to be using negative 2 and 9. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a box, and then we'll use this box to work backwards to find the two factors. Alright, so inside the box we're going to have, we'll start out with our 3x squared in the top left corner, and then we're going to have negative 6 in the bottom right. And instead of putting 7x, we're going to put up the two factors that make up the 7x in the other two boxes. So we would put negative 2x, okay? That comes from right there. And then we would also put 9x, and that comes from right there. All right, then we're going to factor out the GCF of each row and each column. So for 3x squared and 9x, it would be 3x. For negative 2x and negative 6, it would be negative 2. And the reason it's negative 2 is because the leading number is negative, so therefore we factor out a negative. Looking at the column, we have 3x squared and negative 2x, so that's an x. And then over on the right-hand side with 9x and negative 6, we can factor out a 3. So we're going to go back up here and write out the factored form. And I would write down 3x minus 2, and then x plus 3, and that is set equal to 0. So we went ahead and factored that. Okay. The next step in the process is going to be to set, right, we're going to set each factor equal to 0. Okay. So I'm going to set 3x minus 2 equal to 0. I don't need parentheses anymore. 3x minus 2 equals 0. Or x plus 3 equals 0. Then we're just going to solve. So take away 3 on this one. End up with x is equal to negative 3. Or we would add 2. 3x is equal to 2, then divide by 3. So x is equal to 2/3. Okay. So either x would be equal to 2/3 or x would be equal to negative 3. And we could substitute those back in and check to make sure that those are indeed solutions. Alright, our second example, we're going to solve this by factoring. So we have 2x squared minus 11x minus 10 equals negative 22. And if you'll notice in this one, it's not set equal to 0, so that's actually the first thing we have to do. Okay? Set equal to 0. Okay? The way that we do that, go ahead and add 22 to both sides. And we end up with 2x squared minus 11x plus 12 is equal to 0. And then from there, everything else is going to be the same. So we're doing a times c. Okay? We're factoring, so we do a times c, 2 times 12, which is 24. Look for the factors of 24 that add up to give us that negative 11. Okay? So we're looking for that negative 11. And that means they're both going to have to be negative so that when they multiply, they give you a positive number, but when they add, they give you a negative number. So we're looking at, didn't want that. So we're looking at negative 3 and negative 8. And again, we're going to do the box. And then we're going to work backwards from the box. So we'd have 2x squared. Top left corner, 12. In the bottom right corner, we would have these two factors, negative 3x and negative 8x. And again, we're just looking for the GCF of each row and each column. So we would have 2x, negative 3, since it's negative out front. On top, we would have an x, and we would have negative 4. So if I write out the factor form of this, this is going to be 2x minus 3, x minus 4 equals 0. We're going to set each factor equal to 0. I didn't really need the parentheses. And from there, we're just going to solve each one. So the one on the right, add 4, x is equal to 4. This one, we add 3. 2x is equal to 3. Then divide by 2. And we end up with x is equal to 3 halves, or x is equal to 4. Again, we can check that by substituting back in. Alright, and one last thing I want you to think about, what key points do we need to remember about factoring? Okay, so think about that and we'll discuss that in class tomorrow.